October 10, 2021. The moonlight cast angular shadows across the nursery floor as Detective Eliza Mercer stood in the doorway, her weathered face illuminated by the harsh camera flashes behind her. The rocking chair creaked softly, though no one sat in it now. Only the chalk outline remained where Naomi Ellis's body had been found hours earlier. "Tell me again what you saw when you entered the room," Eliza said, her voice low enough not to wake the infant who had been relocated to another room. Darren Ellis, 32, leaned against the hallway wall, his eyes red-rimmed and distant. His hands trembled slightly as he ran them through his disheveled brown hair. "I was supposed to do the 2 a.m. feeding," he said, swallowing hard. "I fell asleep on the couch downstairs. When I woke up, I realized the time. I rushed up here and found her, just sitting there. Eyes open, staring at nothing." His voice cracked. "The baby was sound asleep. I thought maybe she'd fallen asleep in the chair, but when I touched her shoulder, she was cold." Eliza nodded, jotting notes in her small leather-bound notebook. Something about his story didn't sit right, but grief manifested in strange ways. She'd seen it countless times in her 15 years with the Hendersonville Police Department. "And you didn't hear anything unusual? No sounds on the baby monitor?" "Nothing," Darren replied, too quickly. "I told you, I was asleep." Officer Jenkins approached, holding an evidence bag containing a white plastic device. "Detective Mercer, we found this behind the bookshelf. It's taped to the baseboard." Eliza frowned, taking the bag. "It's a baby monitor. Not the same model as the one downstairs." Darren's face paled. "I've never seen that before." "Are you sure?" Eliza pressed, watching his reaction carefully. "You didn't install a backup system?" "No," he said firmly. "Naomi never mentioned anything about a second monitor." The crime scene technician called from across the room. "Detective, windows are locked from the inside. No signs of forced entry anywhere in the house. Carbon monoxide detector is functional but never triggered." Eliza circled the room slowly, taking in every detail. The baby's crib was pristine, the blue bedding barely disturbed. Stuffed animals lined the shelves, their glass eyes reflecting the camera flashes. A half-empty bottle of formula sat on the dresser, still slightly warm. Everything looked normal, except for the hidden monitor and the dead woman who'd been sitting in the rocking chair. "Preliminary finding is asphyxiation," Dr. Wilkes, the medical examiner, said quietly as he joined her. "Chemical vapors of some kind. We'll know more after the autopsy, but there's discoloration in her throat and lungs consistent with inhalation of a toxic substance." "But nothing affected the baby?" Eliza asked. "Nothing apparent. Child Services has taken him for evaluation, but he seems perfectly healthy." Officer Jenkins reappeared, holding Naomi's phone. "Detective, you might want to see this." Eliza took the phone, noting that the screen was unlocked. "Did you get the passcode from Mr. Ellis?" "Didn't need to. It was already open to her messages." Eliza scrolled through the most recent conversation, a group chat with several women labeled Hendersonville New Moms. The last messages had been sent the previous night. "He's lying again. I know what I saw. I took the batteries out of the fake one. But it's working again. I think someone else is hearing more than the baby." Eliza felt the familiar rush of adrenaline that came with a significant lead. She glanced at Darren, who was now sitting on the floor in the hallway, head in his hands. "Mr. Ellis, I'm going to need access to your electronic devices. Phones, computers, tablets, anything in the house." His head snapped up. "Why? I didn't do anything." "It's standard procedure," she lied smoothly. "We need to establish a timeline and see if there were any unusual communications." "Do you need a warrant for that?" he asked, his voice suddenly stronger. Eliza smiled thinly. "I can get one if you prefer. But that would mean more officers in your home for longer, more disruption." I assumed you'd want this wrapped up quickly, for your son's sake. Darren's shoulders slumped. Fine. Whatever you need. As the investigation unfolded over the next 24 hours, Eliza dove deeper into Naomi Ellis's digital life. The messages to her mom group weren't the only breadcrumbs she'd left behind. "You need to see this," said Detective Marcus Holloway, Eliza's partner of 8 years, sliding a tablet across the conference room table. One of Naomi's friends from the mom group came forward with screenshots. Naomi sent these a week before she died. The images showed the second baby monitor with its light blinking, despite being unplugged. The accompanying text read, "Is this normal? I unplugged it this morning but it's still on." The friend, Jennifer Winters, says Naomi was becoming increasingly paranoid about being watched, Marcus continued. She thought someone had installed surveillance in her house. Was she seeing a psychiatrist? Any history of mental health issues? Eliza asked. None. According to Jennifer, Naomi was level-headed. Tired from being a new mom, but not prone to paranoia. Jennifer says she believed Naomi's concerns were legitimate. Eliza drummed her fingers on the table. "Let's get a team back to the house. I want every inch of that nursery examined." The technical team discovered that the wall outlet behind the dresser had been rewired, routed through the basement to a small wireless transmitter. The modification was professional, not something an amateur could accomplish. It was sending a signal, the tech explained. The baby monitor wasn't just receiving, it was transmitting too. Someone could hear everything happening in that room, and they could do it remotely. Eliza felt a chill run down her spine. "Can you trace where the signal was going?" "Working on it. But whoever did this knew what they were doing." Back at the station, Eliza spread the evidence photos across her desk. Something was bothering her about Darren Ellis, something beyond the typical suspicion that fell on spouses in cases like this. "Run a background check on him," she told Marcus. "And check if he's been married before." The results came back within the hour. Darren Ellis had indeed been married before, to Kimberly Dunning, who had a restraining order filed against her after their divorce 3 years ago. She had been arrested once for stalking Darren, showing up at his workplace repeatedly despite the court order. "Bingo," Eliza muttered. "Let's find Ms. Dunning." Kimberly Dunning worked as a night shift nurse at the regional medical center. She was easy to locate but less easy to read. Sitting across from Eliza in the interview room, she appeared composed, her scrub still on from her shift. "I haven't spoken to Darren in over a year," she said firmly. "After the restraining order expired, I moved on with my life. I have a boyfriend now, Jason. We've been together for 8 months. Are you aware that Darren's new wife died 2 days ago?" Eliza asked, watching Kimberly's face carefully. A flicker of something, surprise, perhaps, or well-disguised satisfaction, crossed her features before she regained her neutral expression. "No, I hadn't heard." "That's terrible. We found equipment in their home. Baby monitoring equipment purchased under the name K. Dunning." Kimberly's eyes widened. "That wasn't me. Anyone could have used my name. Do you have an alibi for the night of October 9th? "I was working. Check with the hospital, I was on shift from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. The hospital confirmed her alibi. Security footage showed Kimberly at the nurse's station at regular intervals throughout the night Naomi died. As Eliza drove back to the station, her phone rang. It was the tech team. "Detective Mercer. We traced the baby monitor equipment. It was purchased online 6 months ago, paid for with a prepaid card from a convenience store. The card was activated at an ATM where the security camera was conveniently malfunctioning that day." "Professionally done," Eliza murmured. "There's more. We got into Darren Ellis's laptop. There's a hidden folder with cached images from the baby monitor feed, encrypted and set to upload to a Dropbox account under the name Insurance." Eliza's knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. "Send everything to my email." I'm on my way in. The images were disturbing, not because they showed anything criminal, but because they were so mundane. Naomi rocking her baby. Naomi changing diapers. Naomi asleep in the rocking chair. Moments that should have been private, captured without her knowledge. We also recovered a document, the tech said, pulling up a text file. It looks like Naomi wrote it but never sent it. The note was simple but chilling: if something happens to me, don't look at the one who left. Look at the one who stayed. Eliza called for a team to bring Darren Ellis in for questioning. The interrogation room felt too warm as Eliza sat across from Darren, the case file open between them. He looked worse than before, unshaven, dark circles beneath his eyes. "Mr. Ellis, we found some concerning material on your laptop." "What are you talking about?" Eliza slid photographs across the table. "These are images from the nursery. From the second baby monitor, the one you claimed to know nothing about." Darren's face drained of color. "I can explain." "Please do," Eliza said coldly. "It was Kimberly. She threatened me after Naomi got pregnant. Said she'd make me pay for replacing her. I think she installed the monitor to gather information, to find a way to hurt us." "Then why are the images on your computer? Why were you saving them?" "I discovered the monitor about a month ago," he admitted. "I found it when I was setting up shelves in the nursery. I didn't tell Naomi because I didn't want to frighten her. I tried to track where the signal was going. That's why I saved the images, as evidence against Kimberly." "Why call the folder insurance?" "In case something happened. In case she tried something." "And did she try something?" Darren looked away. "I don't know. Your ex-wife has an airtight alibi for the night Naomi died. She was at work, on camera. She could have hired someone. Or set something up beforehand." Eliza tapped the note they'd recovered. "Your wife wrote this. Don't look at the one who left. Look at the one who stayed." "What do you think she meant by that?" "I don't know," Darren insisted, but his hands were shaking again. The case grew more complex as forensic results came in. The chemical that killed Naomi was identified as a rare compound used in advanced cleaning systems, the kind found in hospitals. It could be aerosolized and was deadly in concentrated doses. Kimberly would have access to this, Marcus pointed out. "But she was at work all night," Eliza countered. "The security footage confirms it." "What if she set up some kind of timer? A device that released the chemical at a specific time?" The technical team searched the nursery again but found nothing. The mystery deepened when they discovered that Kimberly had taken a week of vacation time the month before Naomi's death, time unaccounted for in their investigation. "I was visiting my sister in Atlanta," Kimberly explained when brought in for a second interview. "Check my credit card statements. I stayed at the Westin downtown." The hotel confirmed her stay, but there was a 24-hour period where her whereabouts couldn't be verified. Meanwhile, Eliza dug deeper into Darren's background. His first wife wasn't the only troubling relationship in his past. An ex-girlfriend had filed a police report against him 6 years earlier, claiming harassment after their breakup, though she never pressed charges. "He has a pattern," Eliza told Marcus. "When relationships end, things get ugly." "But Naomi didn't leave him," Marcus pointed out. "They had a new baby. Maybe she was planning to. Her messages to her friends suggest she didn't trust him." The case built slowly, piece by contradictory piece. The evidence pointed to Darren, the cached images, Naomi's note, his history of troubled relationships. But they couldn't establish how he had killed her while providing himself with an alibi. Then came the breakthrough. Jennifer Winters called Eliza directly. "I found something else on my phone. Voice messages from Naomi that I'd forgotten about. The recordings were from 3 weeks before Naomi's death. Jen, he brought home flowers today. Said they were to celebrate 3 months with the baby. But there was a card inside from Kay. When I asked him about it, he got angry. Said the florist must have mixed up the orders. I think they're still in contact. I saw a text on his phone before he snatched it away. Something about our plan and patience. I'm scared, Jen. What if they're working together somehow? Eliza immediately requested phone records for both Darren Ellis and Kimberly Dunning. The results confirmed her suspicion. Despite their claims of no contact, they had exchanged dozens of calls and texts in the months leading up to Naomi's death. We've got them, she told Marcus. They were working together. But the case fell apart during the arrest process. The digital forensics team discovered that the chain of custody for the laptop evidence had been compromised. A rookie officer had accessed the files without proper documentation. A judge ruled the evidence inadmissible. Without the laptop files, the case against Darren weakened. The phone records showed communication between him and Kimberly, but nothing explicitly incriminating. Their explanation, that they were discussing the return of personal property following their divorce, couldn't be disproven. Kimberly produced documentation showing the baby monitor equipment had been purchased with a stolen credit card in her name, filing a fraud report with her bank. The report was dated after Naomi's death but before the police had connected the equipment to her name. They planned this meticulously. Eliza fumed as the district attorney explained why charges wouldn't be filed. They created just enough reasonable doubt. We know what happened, Marcus said grimly. But knowing and proving are different things. Naomi's son went to live with her sister, Rachel, who moved into a small house across town. Darren fought for custody but lost when Rachel produced years of text messages from Naomi expressing concerns about his behavior. Darren sold the house 6 months later. The new owners converted the nursery into a guest room, unaware of its history. But the electrician they hired reported something strange. The socket behind the bookshelf, the one that had been rewired, still crackled faintly when it rained, despite being replaced. Eliza kept the case file on her desk, unwilling to let it go to the cold case archives. She drove past the house occasionally, wondering what secrets remained buried in its walls. 1 year to the day after Naomi's death, Eliza received an anonymous package. Inside was a baby monitor, the same model as the second one found in the nursery. A note was attached: every October 10th, the light turns on by itself. Even though no one lives in that room anymore. The monitor was traced back to a store in Charlotte, purchased with cash. Security footage showed a woman with her face obscured by a baseball cap. It could have been Kimberly, or it could have been anyone. That same day, Darren Ellis left town, telling neighbors he needed a fresh start. 3 weeks later, he married again, a woman he'd reportedly been seeing for just 2 months. They moved to Oregon, as far from Hendersonville as they could get. Kimberly Dunning continued working at the hospital. Her performance reviews remained exemplary. Patients described her as attentive, caring, detail-oriented. The case remained officially unsolved. But every October 10th, Eliza Mercer placed flowers on Naomi Ellis's grave. And every year, she found someone had been there before her, leaving behind a small token, a baby monitor, switched on, its green light blinking steadily in the cemetery shadows. Rachel raised Naomi's son, telling him stories about his mother, her kindness, her strength, her love for him. She kept a journal of the investigation, locked away until the day he would be old enough to understand. The house with the converted nursery changed owners again. The new family reported hearing strange static through their baby monitor at night, voices that weren't their own. An electrician found nothing wrong with the wiring. In her office, Eliza kept a cork board with photos connected by red string: Naomi, Darren, Kimberly. Between them lay the truth, just beyond her grasp. One photograph stood out: Naomi in the rocking chair, holding her newborn son, smiling at the camera. She hadn't known she was being watched. She hadn't known that the man who promised to love her was plotting with the woman he'd claimed to have left behind. She hadn't known that some partnerships never truly end, they just evolve into something more dangerous. But she had suspected enough to leave breadcrumbs behind. Enough for Eliza to know, even if she couldn't prove it. And somewhere in Oregon, a new wife rocked a new baby, unaware of the hidden camera capturing her most private moments. Unaware that history had a way of repeating itself. Unaware that every October 10th, a baby monitor light turned on by itself, in a town she'd never visited, in a nursery that no longer existed. And no one could hear her, even when she screamed.